Well, the post-trade deadline Detroit Tigers start off 0-1. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Friday, August 2nd, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome in. Welcome all. Have everybody. Happy Friday. The Tigers lose on Thursday. I have a feeling that we're going to be saying that quite a bit here going forward. They lose 7-1 to kick off this 4-game set against the Kansas City Royals. Honestly, my reaction watching this game was buckle up. That was how I felt. Watching this game just made me feel like we are in for a long last couple of months of the season here. We talked, yesterday's entire episode was dedicated to that, right? How the team would look the rest of the year, what players you could expect, et cetera, et cetera. But there is a rather real chance that they look quite similar to this a lot of the rest of the way, which would be really sad. That's really the word that I would use. It would just be sad. That would suck. Now, they do have some, not some, they have quite a few injured players. You're hoping that Reese Olson can come back at some point. You're hoping that Riley Green is here sooner rather than later. You're hoping Kerry Carpenter's not out for the year. You're hoping Casey Mize, he has 30 days left now, but you can get him pitching the last month of the season there. But Reese Olson hasn't even started throwing yet, so there's no guarantee that he's back at any point this year. Casey Mize, again, you're getting for a month there, best case scenario, to end the season. Kerry Carpenter legitimately could miss the rest of the year. And there has not been an update on Riley Green up to this point. So Parker Meadows hopefully back soon. That one is happening. That's nice. Like, you get my point. Like I talked about it yesterday. We're obviously having the same conversation right now a little bit, but like it is true that they have a lot of injuries. It's very, very true. A lot of injuries, and then just like poor performances. Spencer Torkelson demoted, Kenta Maeda pulled from the rotation. Like, these are all true things. But that doesn't excuse, I guess is the word I'm going to say, like the lineup that they're rolling out there. It's rough, man. That can transition us. Goodness, I can't talk today. Into this ball game. What went wrong? A lot. If you haven't caught on by now, or if you didn't watch, 7-1. Like I said, this really does and will, going forward, the rest of this season, start and end with the offense. 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, only scored 1 run, only had 4 hits, 2 walks, so that's 6 base runners. This lineup isn't good. I was trying to find a different way to say that. I was really trying to find a different way to navigate that comment and that conversation, but I don't really think there is. Matt Vierling, Colt Keith, Wincio Perez, that's your top 3. All the respect and credit in the world to those dudes. Colt Keith's obviously been on fire for a while now. That's all great. If you would have told me in March that on August 1st, those would be the top 3 hitters in that order in the lineup, I probably would have asked you what went wrong. Malloy, Bly Madris hitting 5th. Dingler in his second career game, hitting 6th. Gio Urshela, whose OPS is almost below 600, hitting 7. And then Zach McKinstry and Ryan Kreidler batting 8-9, with Ryan Valade pinch hitting. Again, you show any of us that lineup in March and go, hey, this is going to be a lineup you roll out there at any point. Even if it's just like a one-time thing, if I would have known that was the lineup ever for this team, I would have been wildly confused. And here we are. And that's why I would not hold my breath when it comes to the expectation of offensive production. I would love to be wrong. I hope the Tigers win every single game they play. I sit down and I watch 162 of these things a year. Trust me, I would much rather they win all of them. But this lineup is looking rough. The bullpen didn't go very well either. Hannafy and Gunther, both of which we'll talk about later on in the show, were called up right before the game. Both of them responsible for 3 of the 7 runs. Hannafy goes 2/3 of an inning, gets absolutely crushed. Hits 2 home runs, gives up like 380-foot fouls, gives up a warning track fly out. Like, even the outs and the non-home runs he was giving up were absolutely cranked. So rough day for him. Gunther, I didn't think honestly looked terrible, but not a very inspiring performance either, we'll call it. So between those two factors, no matter what your starting pitcher did, who did go 7 innings, we'll talk about him in a second, bullpen, who pitched 2 innings, gave up 3 runs. Offense that played 9 innings, scored 1. Ball game. Let's talk about what went right, shall we? Because it wasn't, and that's why we split the show up this way, right? Because if we didn't split it up into those two, then the rest of the season would probably just be recycling the same conversation about, for 30 minutes about how awful the offense is and how none of these names are, legitimate long-term pieces of the puzzle. And like, that's a little dramatic. Obviously, Keith, you're hoping Malloy, Wincio Perez, maybe, etc. But you get my point. Like, instead of just regurgitating that conversation 5 days a week for the next 2 months, we force ourselves here to talk about some positive things too. And there were some good to take out of this game as well, even despite the 7-1 final score. So we will get into those right after this. Going to talk to you today about our friends over at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, but the playoffs are over and we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. Well, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up my bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Also got to talk to you all about our friends over at Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands to get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can have a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program as well. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back on Monday recapping this weekend of ball games, as well as keeping you up to date with anything that happens off the field, which lately has been quite a lot. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day, bringing you the biggest stories in sports from all of our great hosts here at Locked On. Locked On Sports Today, again, you can subscribe for free on YouTube or check it out for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So, talking about what went right in this 7-1 loss, spoiler alert, not a super long list. I actually am going to put Keider Montero on this side of the aisle today. I know he gives up 4 earned runs. That's not a quality start. But I was very, very impressed with how he handled this outing. And this is one where if you look at the box score, you might think, okay, not the best outing in the world, whatever. But if you actually watched, you understand why he's in this category today. 7 innings, 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, only 3 strikeouts as well. Gave up the 3-run homer to the, 3rd or 4th batter of the ball game. Okay, so in the first inning, again, 3 or 4. Where did Vinny bat in the lineup? Yeah, 3rd. It was literally the 3rd batter of the game. I couldn't remember if he hit 3rd or hit cleanup. So we were down 3-0 before recording an out, and yet he still went 7 innings and only gave up 1 more run the rest of the outing, and it was in his final inning of work. I think that starts like this are so unbelievably important. It's something that I talk about a lot when it comes to hitters, and it's a philosophy that I carry over and agree with, or that also lines up with how I view pitching, right? You have to get punched in the mouth sometimes because Major League Baseball is unbelievably hard, and Major League pitching is unbelievably good, and Major League hitting is unbelievably good. And I think it's why I preached patience so much with Colt Keith earlier in the season, right? I consistently was kind of dug my heels in and was against sending him down to the minors. Like, that is something that I kind of took out of this start with Montero, right? Got punched in the mouth early and no help was on its way, right? And I'm sure he knew that. We have no innings. We called up 2 players to help with our pitching and still had the same amount of starting pitchers we did going into the game or going into the call-ups than we did after. We called up 2 pitchers, neither of them starters. They're not going to help the innings very much at all. So he knew that no help was on the way. If he got popped, he was going to have to wear it. And the fact that he not only had to overcome that and really settle down and make adjustments in game, which again is so important to development, and then end up going 7 innings, I think is very, very impressive. I think it's a great sign. Early in the outing, he was just throwing the ball over the heart of the plate a lot. And that is, not rocket science. It's not a super in-depth breakdown of what was going wrong for him out there, but that's pretty much it. He threw so many fastballs that were in the center. If you were to break the strike zone into 9 boxes, it would have been in box 5 every single time. Right there, square in the middle. And his slider, he had no feel for. It was going all over the place, not just hard of the plate, out of the zone, like literally anywhere. Who knew? When he hit his spots with that slider, especially to righties, he got some swings and misses, and that's a good sign. We know that he's capable of that. We've seen a couple of good outings from him in which that was really important, but it really is going to consistently be fastball command, really command of everything, but the fastball is where that starts and where most pitchers, him included, start and finish. And so I really liked this performance from him. Again, despite kind of the final box score not looking like the prettiest thing in the world, I really liked it, and not only did I like it from a again in-game adjustment and like a stuff perspective. He got a lot better as the game went along, which was really good. He was keeping hitters off balance, but was really just pounding the bottom of the zone and getting a ton of ground balls. I think that's a great sign. But from a big picture perspective as well, this is exactly what the rest of the season is all about at this point. Am I red in the face, furious that they lost a ball game? No, they're going to lose a lot from here on out. They sold at the deadline again, right? They're not in the last 2 months of the season to go win a lot of ball games, and Bly Madris was hitting 5 last night. They're not going to be on the winning side of things too terribly much unless they get really healthy here between now and the end of the season. So it's about development. And I think starts like this are really important to that, and are kind of what I'm looking for the rest of the way from everybody, not just Keider Montero. Colt Keith had a moment in this game that I really liked base running wise. And look, I know that people have their issues with Joey Cora. We have talked about his decision making ad nauseum. It feels like he's made some really, really, the nice way to say it is questionable calls this season as his first year as Tigers third base coach. There was the one run that we scored. Bly Madris hits a sac fly to left field. I feel like I've just been way too mean to Bly Madris. Fine player. Like he didn't ask to bat fifth, right? I have no issue with Bly Madris. I want to make that very clear. He's actually been swinging a pretty darn good stick after getting off to the slow start. So, yeah, I want to clear the air there. I feel like I've been picking on him a lot over the last couple of days. So Bly Madris hits a sac fly to left field. This is a shallow ball. That is a shallow fly ball, and Colt Keith still goes. And if he's out there, I believe it would have ended the inning. He obviously scores. The throw is slightly offline, and there you go. If you thought that Joey Cora was aggressive before the trade deadline, I don't know this for a fact. I've never met Joey Cora. I'm obviously not in those coaching staff meetings, but I would imagine that we are going to see an unbelievable level of aggressiveness from here on out, because this lineup does look the way it does. And I think that their philosophy is just going to be, well, the odds of getting a hit with a runner in scoring position, especially with 2 outs, is slim to none. So we're just going to send everybody and hope that the defense makes a mistake and force the defense to get our runners out. That already kind of was the philosophy. Not even kind of. That was straight up the philosophy this season. I think it might even get taken to a whole nother level at this point, just because who knows when we're ever going to get a hit again anytime you get on base. That sounds super demoralizing, but like that is legitimately kind of where I think the offense is at. Last thing here, Dillon Dingler behind the plate, I thought had a good night. I thought he had a good game. Wasn't fantastic in the batter's box. I think he went 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts there. But I thought he looked really good behind the dish. And I don't want to say that's more what I'm looking for than what he does in the batter's box, because obviously what he does offensively is important. But it is, I cannot stress enough to people that don't know how important a catcher is behind the plate, how important a catcher is behind the plate, right? Like I am watching very, very much for how he calls games, how he handles these types of situations. I think this is a fantastic sign, right? The fact that him and Montero were that battery got rocked early and was able to recover and get a pretty good game out of Montero. Now, again, obviously we already gave credit to Montero, right? He deserves most of the credit there, but I do think that Dingler looked really solid behind the plate, and I've been impressed with what I've seen from him defensively, and just, as a catcher so far in general, all encompassing in his major league career up to this point. So let's talk stuff. All right. We'll do that right after this. Going to talk to you all about our friends over at Liquid IV. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, Liquid IV. Look, they are clutch, is what I call them. I keep them on me all the time. My family is huge Liquid IV fans, have been for most of my life, and I cannot say really enough good things about it. My parents have always had them on. I have a lot of family that are very big fans of Liquid IV. Traveling, summer festivals, after a late night out, you name it, it is there for you. And again, it gives you those nutrients and vitamins that you need, much more than just water. Powered by LIV Hydroscience. It's optimized the ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. You can also get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off of your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. So I want to start off by just talking about the Royals. I feel like I almost owe them an apology. I really haven't taken them seriously all year, and just what a turnaround going into the season. I scoffed on here at people that thought that the Royals were going to be like some major improvement of a team. They deserve a ton of credit. They went out, they spent some money. They added some free agents from the outside. They added some pitching specifically. They've gotten fantastic seasons from, honestly, quite a few of their additions, but Seth Lugo being one of them, who obviously went 8 innings of one-run ball in this game. He has a 2.57 ERA on the season. But honestly, like, the improvement of the Royals, I think I am always going to be in favor of front offices spending money and trying to be good. Okay. I don't care if it's a division rival, if it's the Tigers, if it's the Yankees, if it's the Royals, if it's the Guardians. I don't care. I am always just pro front offices and ownership spending money. I think that's good for the game of baseball when all 30 owners all are trying to win, which has never happened. I don't think, at least in the draft era. But I think that is like my dream scenario, right? So I love the fact that they're getting credit for it. I think we should continue to, push the fact that they went out and spent and got a lot better. But in the same breath, this is the Bobby Witt Jr. show. And he is unbelievable. And I absolutely hate it. I don't hate him. Sure, he's a fine dude. He looks like a really good kid in all the interviews and whatnot. The fact that we have to face Bobby Witt Jr. for the next, 15 to 20 years on a consistent basis because he's in this division keeps me up at night. I hate it. And he is putting together one of the best seasons you will see out of a young shortstop, that you will see really out of any player. And he's really young and still honestly getting better. His stats over the last month are like Barry Bonds-esque, but he also can run. Well, Barry Bonds can run. Don't forget it. It's mind-boggling how good he is. And I feel like we've almost gone too far. We're like, oh yeah, like, look at all these signings they made. They really turned it around and spent and cared. It's like, you're right. And that's good. That's good. I support that. But Vinny was hurt all of last year, and Bobby Witt Jr. is playing like a man possessed. And this team does not look the way it does if those two gentlemen in the heart of that lineup aren't doing what they're doing. So wanted to point that out, but again, hats off to the Royals. I feel like I owe them an apology. Good for the front office for going out and making additions and spending money and whatnot. And now we have another thorn in our side that we didn't expect to be ready for another couple of years. That's going to be a competitor in this division. Because, Vinny and Bobby ain't going nowhere, baby. Cole Reagans, they're going to be all right. Javi Baez back. If we're talking roster moves really quickly, we'll transition to that conversation. Javi Baez is back. He did not play in this game, but he is back in the clubhouse. Good. We didn't get any information. I'm not demanding any information. It was a family matter. Hope everything's good on his end. Then they call up Brennan Hanafy and Sean Gunther. I would prefer to see new faces. Excuse me. Goodness. And I have nothing against Hanafy and Gunther, right? At all. Hanafy pitched for the Tigers a little bit last year. Didn't really look that amazing. Gunther pitched for the Royals a couple years ago. He's been in the minors. I mean, he's pushing 30 in his, career kind of 4A, AAA type of player. And that's fine. That's fine and dandy. I just, as we talked about yesterday, I would prefer, personally, if the rest of the way we maybe learned something new, right? We know the caliber of pitcher that Hanafy and Gunther are. And I'm not saying they're like garbage. That's not what I'm insinuating. But they are AAA caliber pitchers as it stands right now. How about we bring in somebody that is maybe a little younger? Hanafy's, I think, only 26, so he's, I guess, around that age. But bring in somebody that's a little younger or hasn't pitched in the majors before or has worked their way up through the system over the last, year. Let's take the last 2 months and educate ourselves on what we have and, I don't know, earmark opportunities for young players in the organization. I know Job isn't going to happen. I'm not asking for that, okay? I understand the politics of that. It's not going to happen. Great. I'm not saying that Lockhart would do well. He throws 89. He might have an ERA of 15, but at least we'd learn something new. At least we would learn new information about the Detroit Tigers organization that we didn't know before. We are learning nothing with Hanafy and Gunther pitching for the Detroit Tigers the last 2 months of the season. And I really think that it should be focused on development and about learning about what we have in players. And I thought that was the plan for these 2 years because we weren't signing free agents. I thought that was the whole reason, actually. We didn't sign free agents. I thought it was we're not signing because we got to see what we have in these young guys. We got to earmark at bats, but 29-year-old AAA relievers, that's the priority. Okay. Spencer Torkelson stays hot. I think that's important. I also, in the same breath, why is Gio Urshela and why are Gio Urshela and Zach McKinstry still on this baseball team? Gio Urshela specifically, and Gio's a better player than Zach McKinstry, but Gio Urshela, there is no reason for him to be on this roster. There's none. I hope he finds another job. I hope some playoff team signs him as utility depth, and he has an awesome moment in October, and we go, oh, he was a Tiger. I hope he has the best last 2 months that a human being could have. There is no reason to keep him on this team. I don't care if he has an 1,000 OPS the last 2 months of the season. I literally don't. There is zero purpose for him to be on this roster post-trade deadline. Literally zero. I don't understand. Okay. Minor leagues. West Michigan's a fun ball club, man. Lorenzo, notably, the headliner from the Dodgers in the Jack Flaherty trade, had made his West Michigan debut with the Whitecaps on Thursday night. Looked really good in the batter's box. Had a walk in his first plate appearance. I think had 2 hits. He had at least one. Smoked an RBI double. Was ripped. That exit velocity thing is no joke. His swing is when he connects on a ball, it's beautiful. It's just a matter of how consistently can he connect on a baseball. That's really the biggest question. The issue with his first outing or his first appearance here with West Michigan, I said that right, is he looked not great behind the dish as a catcher. The one clip that made the rounds was a blocked ball attempt that, I mean, looked mighty slow. And and like I said earlier this week when we got him, keep playing him at catcher. I know people watch that and they go, oh, just put him at first base and get it over with. What purpose does that serve? None. Again, we're trying to find purpose in these ball games. Why would you? Best case scenario is he turns into a catcher. He's 21. Let's see if maybe he can develop and make some adjustments and become a catcher. And look, if he's 23 and looks the same, then pull the plug on it and he's your first baseman. But golly, it makes zero sense to just have him play one game, go, well, that was awful, and move him off the position. See if you can make a catcher out of this guy. But yeah, West Michigan in general, electric factory. They have McGonigal, Clark. Now they have him. Like there's just a lot of the bigger names in the organization are in West Michigan. It's a really fun time to be a Whitecaps fan. So I encourage everybody, if you have the resources or the time or whatnot, go watch a Whitecaps game before the season ends, man. Seriously, that is a really, really, really fun roster with a lot of hopefully future Major League players on it. They've won, I think, 5 of their last 6 or something like that, 4 of their last 5. They're on a little bit of a heater too. Yeah, fun times in West Michigan. Okay, so this weekend the Tigers play 3 more games against the Royals. We still have a 40-man roster spot open, by the way. So still haven't added a starting pitcher to the Major League team. So I would like that to happen, but we'll see. Maybe we're just going to do this for, the next 2 months, which I'm so looking forward to. Scuba versus Reagan's always fun. That'll be Friday. Lorenzen versus TBD, Waka versus TBD are Saturday and Sunday. So who knows who's going to pitch for the Tigers? Who knows who they're going to get innings out of? Jim Leyland, jersey retirement, number 10, going on the brick wall on Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Double check my work on that, but I'm relatively confident it's Saturday. Yeah, thanks for being Locked On Tigers, your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back on Sunday. All right. I appreciate you all greatly. I think that's it. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch you all then. Go Tigers.